Good evening, everyone, and welcome to day two of Great Amrita Alumni Conclave on Renewable Energy and Smart Grid. Amrita Great Alumni Conclave is a full-fledged virtual webinar series spearheaded by the shining alumni of Amrita. These sessions are planned as a platform for every engineering aspirant to gather valuable information on all the aspects of engineering and to get to know the futuristic scope of various streams of engineering. Today, we have with us Mr. Nighil N, academic mentor Amrita Vishwavidyapeetham, and Mr. Sandeep P, Wind Resources Engineer, Vistas Technology and R&D Chennai, for us to join us for today's session. So, over to you, Sandeep.
Thank you, Nija, and good evening, everyone. In today's section, we are talking energy and smart grid. I will be handling about renewable energies. First of all, in the introduction, for our day-to-day work, we are using the natural resources for generating energy, such as for all our day-to-day works, we are using natural resources. And what are the natural resources? Natural resources are like woods, fossil fuels, sunlight, wind. All those things are natural resources, and these natural resources can be divided into two categories, like non-renewable and renewable. And what is non-renewable? Non-renewable energy resources are cannot be easily replaceable. So which are like fossil fuel, coal, natural gases, because we know that these are generated in our earth by after a decades of transformation. So it will run out after a period of time, because we are using very fast, the usage is very fast. And another thing is, by combustion of this natural non-renewable resources, it will produce greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, which will cause the global warming scenarios. So the next category is renewable energy resources. So what are the renewable energy resources? Which are hydropower plant, wind energy, solar energy, biomass, geothermal energy, ocean energy, and hydrogen. So which are naturally replenished on the time of human time span itself. Like if we are using woods, so if we are cutting down forest and we are using woods, we can replace, if we put effort, we can replace in our time span itself. So now I am explaining each categories one by one. So in hydropower plants, so it's very common in our India. So what we will generally do is, we will build a reservoir, and we will store the water across a river, and we will use that water to rotate the turbine and generate electricity. And the next one is wind energy. Wind energy, so in the previous means i- very years before, we used this wind energy uh, uh, to travel in a ship. So it's one example of using wind energy. And in the modern world, wind energy to generate electricity, we will be using wind turbines, which will convert the kinetic energy of the wind into electricity. And next one is solar energy. Using the solar energy, we can use in two ways. One is solar thermal, and another one is solar PV power plant. In solar thermal, I hope everyone in our childhood times, we used the lens and to burn the papers. So the same concept, we will use a lot of parabolic trough, and we will concentrate that in a particular point, and we will generate heat. And using this heat, we will use steam to rotate the turbines. And in solar PV, it's very common nowadays. In most of the houses, we are installing solar PV plants. Like, we will install the solar panel. This solar panel will convert sunlight into electricity. And the next one is geothermal. Geothermal, it is very not much common in India, but In some places, it's using in geothermal power plants. It use the heat produced under the earth to generate steam and rotate the turbines. So it's the basic same concept as coal thermal power plant. Instead of burning the coal and uh, already available under the Earth's surface. And biomass and biofuel. Biomass are woods and other natural plants, everything. And we will use this uh, biomass and biomass to uh, create steam and generate electricity. In Chennai itself, there is a thermal power plant which will use the woods to burn and create the steam to generate electricity. Biofuels, which are ethanols, which will be created using fermentation. And nowadays, I think in our news articles are shown that ethanols are using to add in the petrol so that we can reduce the usage of fossil fuels. And tidal energy. Tidal energy is energy is using from the tides in the seashores. Using the tides, we will be generating electricity. So uh, when we are seeing the energy mix nowadays, we can see that still we are using 33%, means more than 50% of our electricity, means energy from the fossil fuels, and only using 11%, around 12% only we are using from renewable energies. And if you are seeing in India electricity usage, we are using 35% of our electricity from renewable energy, and more than 50% is still we are relying upon the for non-renewable sources. So based upon our recent Paris agreement, so India has to cut down our uh, fossil fuel usage, means carbon emission below 50 percentage within 2030. So it's a very huge scope in upcoming days in renewable energy fields, and a lot of companies are looking forward engineers to have the skills set to uh, work on the renewable energy field. And we can see that this is a snapshot of our India's milestones in the recent year in the renewable energy fields. We can see that India had added a 2.6 gigawatt additional capacity in the solar, and we in renewable share 26 percentages from the solar, and we are become the fourth global position in renewable energy capacity. So we are growing towards our target. So there is a huge scope in renewable energy field. So next, it is about smart grid. I'm handing over to Nighil for handling smart grid.
Good evening, and thank you, Nisha, for the warm welcome, and thank you, Sandeep. We had a nice session, and I think you have understood what is the basic different types of renewable energy and non-renewable energy resources, and how its things are working behind the scene, and how this our systems are run. Now let's see, to make the systems more smarter and to connect this renewable resources to integrate and to perform with higher efficiency and renewability. I mean, like a smart grid system have been introduced. Let's see what is this smart grid. So before coming to smart grid, I just want to tell what is a grid. So now you all know the electricity have been generated in generating station, and it have to be transmitted to the consumer through transmission line. So that it will be transmitted to transmission line with some electrical conductor. So electrical conductor line, we can tell it as a grid. So to run and activate and to control and to make proper, I mean, efficiency of this transmission, we are changing the grid and we are activating the grid into a smarter way. So likewise, we can tell that is mean by smart grid. So in smart grid, what is happening is we are going with smart meters, and smart meters will run this smart grid system so that we can able to fetch the information and details in a smarter way, so that like we can uh, we can program the system, or else we can program the things easily, and the distribution and transmission will be done in a smoother way. So that's why, so we can improve the efficiency of the system and reliability also, and so that like we can reduce the cost of the system. And like since like we are giving, I think like we are spending more money for this electricity nowadays, so by we have a smarter system means like obviously we can reduce the prices of the system. So that's why we are going for the smart grid system. And next thing is like security of the electrical network, since like so many issues are happening because of this, like things between this electrical network. So the proper security have to be monitored and have to be controlled with the help of smart grid RTB. So that is why we are going for smart grid options. The next thing is like most important thing, which is like demand side management system. And you all know the demand side management system. That's a tough system. Like we have to manage this transmission and distribution in a proper communication, with proper communication and proper control and proper monitoring have to be done. So to do that, we have to go with this demand side management system. So that's why like we are going with this market. And next thing is like self-healing and self-healing. You all know what is meant by this self-healing. Sandeep, can you move to the last? Yeah. Self-healing. Self-healing means like for someone it's like what should I say, hacking and doing the things. So it should be like detect the fault and initiate the operation of this breakers have been. So the smart grid have an ability to detect the fault, and it can able to resolve the solution. I mean, like it can able to solve the solution. So that, I mean, like the advantage we have with the smart grid. So we don't want to continuously monitor the system. So automatically it will detect the fault and it will solve the problem. So that is why we are going with smart grid. And next thing is like microgrid and integration of this renewable energy resources. Already Sandeep have explained the different types of renewable energy resources, but that resources are in different places. So it have to be interconnected, and it should be connected to a microgrid, and that microgrid should be connected to the longer, bigger other grids. So that is integration of this all grid and all energy sources and all this consumer side sources to a proper channel and proper control, and transmission and distribution will be smooth. So that's why we are going with this smart grid. Now let's see it's smart grid architecture, like a simple architecture. It's like we can see initially, like we can see center, it is known as the centralized power generation, and we can name it as a smart grid. And the smart grid have been attached with a lot of sensors, and you know what is sensors and how it will work. Sensors, and even like we can sensors will detect something like a, what should I say? I mean detect the current, like a main efficiency, everything, like everything, even like what is the transmission rate, everything can be detected with some sensors, and temperature, everything like we can sense, and we can detect the fault, even like if you have any issues and we can fault, that will be detected, and that will be clubbed with the smart grid. I mean power system plays an important role with the smart grid too, and some information technology systems, even like IoT, everything will be connected to this. So that like what will happen means, if user or someone is manually controlling, or like not manually controlling, like they will be in some other place, they can control these things with some easier way, and so that like we can have a proper channel of like operation, and we don't want to worry about this transmission and distribution. So everything will be more efficient and reliable, and will get and efficiency will be improved, and moreover demand response, that will be the main output of this smart grid. And moreover the communication, we can have some good communication with the smart grid, so that like we can have a proper operation of these two, and moreover that like integration of microgrids. And while going to smart grids, the main thing is like we can reduce the usage of the non-renewable energy resources. Like we can reduce the pollution of the things which is happening over the world. And you know, the India is facing a big problem, it's like the pollution with the vehicles and the things like. So we can reduce that also by integrating smart grid with the electric vehicle. So now let's see new technologies and research in the smart grid. I already told that like the main still like some researches and the technologies researches and development are happening in the smart grid area. In that, like first one is like energy management system. That is like big things are happening in energy management system, and a lot of researchers have been doing is to manage the proper transmission and distribution of the energy, and things are doing. So why these are doing? Actually, to improve the efficiency, reliability, and the sustainability of the system, like a lot of things are happening. So still people are finding new methodology and new type of like management systems are finding and improving the grid workability. And so that's why we will get making the grid more smarter. Even like we have smart grid, but to make the grid more smarter, like things are happening and researchers are going behind this. And maybe you can tell IoT, it plays a greater role in all our life. Same way like in renewable energy and smart grid also, IoT plays a great role. Same way like IoT, you already know the things have been data have been shared through internet, so that like we can have a proper operation and we have an easy operation, and so that like we can work smart and we can solve issues. Like if we have issues in the grid means IoT things can be shared through IoT, and that easily we can detect the fault and we can remove the fault without any disruption in the transmission of the energy. So that like end to end the transmission and distribution, the distribution have to be done with a proper channel, and there won't be any disruption in the distribution. And every consumer, like every consumer, household, industries, everyone who will receive the energy without any disruption. So that is the main ultimate aim of the IoT. So that's why IoT happened, because more researchers have been doing in IoTs too, but integrated with smart grid technology. Smart grid with electrical vehicle, and you all know what is happening with this, the new technology of the vehicle. It's the electric vehicle. You know what we have switched to electrical vehicles, and it's like more pollutions. Like it is a big issue which India is facing from few years. So to reduce the pollutions and to make like reduce the pollution, like we are switching to electrical vehicle. Moreover, when we switch to electrical vehicle, the next thing is like we have to charge the electrical vehicle. So to charging and for smoother operation, we are integrating with the smart grid. So that's why like smart grid also play a vital role with the electrical vehicle. So it is also recent technology, and we can try like so many researches and things are happening behind this electrical vehicles and integration of the smart grid. So next, like we see big data. Same way, like this IoT, big data is also playing a vital role or biggest role with this smart grid system. And you can tell big data. We can tell big data. It's an eye of the smart grid. Big data means it's a collection of data. Each and every second, the data will be detected and it will be sensed and it will be connected and it will be stored and it will be processed in the smart grid. So these data have to be processed and these data have to be proper channeled and these data have to be concluded with a proper conclusion so that the transmission and distribution will happen in a smoother way. So that's why big data plays a bigger role in this. Same way, through big data, we will detect so many data and that data have to be analyzed. So that's why we get the help of data analysts and we'll analyze the data and process the same. And even big data science also plays a vital role in this same strategy. So these are the main new technology and researchers which is happening behind this smart grid and integration of this electrical vehicle and IoT energy management system and big data. But clubbing of these things, like we can tell, smart grid will be a biggest research and new technology thing which will come and which will rise our country. Even like so many countries have been uh, invested in this smart grid. Even like Australia, UK, Canada, everywhere like smart grid facilities and technology have been developed and they have been invested and it have been improved the GDP too. So that's why like all countries have been moving to the smart grid technologies and the things. Since without electricity or without power we can't work. Even like we are sitting in front of the system and we are working. Same way like so that's why all countries everywhere like all systems, every industry. So that's why everything like is switching into smarter and that's why we are moving into smart grid systems. So that's it. Like, thank you.
Thank you so much, Nighil, and thank you, Sandeep, for giving a very informative students. So before we end the session, we would like to hear from both of you on how your life was at Amrita and how it has trained you to, like after Amrita in your career, how it has helped you. So I would like to start with Nighil.
I have done power electronics and drive from Amrita University, Coimbatore campus. When I joined Amrita, I have done my I have completed my BTech from Rajgiri School of Engineering, and afterwards, I have joined in Amrita University. And if I join in Amrita University, even like a BTech, I don't have any exposure. I simply joined to the BTech Electrical Engineering department, and I have learned so many things. That first improvement was happened in my BTech, and the second phase of my improvement and second level of improvement was happened because of Amrita only. And the facilities, lab facilities, and the things was happened was very smoother, and even renewable energy lab, power electronics lab, so many facilities were available, and I can explore. And the staff members were very friendly, and they have helped me to achieve my dream, and moreover, they have supported me to improve myself. And even we have a lot of presentation over our project work, and we have done uh, so many themes like projects and everything was handled and guided by so many staff. So I thank Amrita for that. Even I'm here in these situations because of Amrita University. That's it.
Thank you so much, Nigel. What about you, Sandeep?
My BTech, I completed my BTech in electrical engineering. So after that, I completed my MTech in renewable energy technology from Amrita University, Coimbatore. So when I joined, I expected like, okay, it will be like a normal curriculum. But after entering in Amrita, the expectation totally changed. The faculties were, as Nichols mentioned, faculties were very cooperative because they are supporting us in all the stages of our development and during our projects, everything. And we have the best and good lab facilities in Amrita. So, and all the teachers are updated. They have know the how the industry is working. When I worked joined in renewable energy, so there is not much colleges or no other colleges are there. Much colleges are there which are giving this particular course, but our teachers are well updated. They know what is happening in out in the industry, and they took us into the industrial visits, so which give us a better idea about how the industry is working, how the each things are happening in the real world compared to the only focusing on the textbook and the lab. And another best thing is we have group a huge group of alumni in my industry. I am working in a wind resource assessment. There are lot of people who passed out of Amrita. They are currently in a good position, in a well position in different OEM in India. So that's the best thing I got from Amrita. Yeah.
So thank you so much, Sandeep. We are so happy to hear such good words from our alumni. So thank you everyone for joining us today. That's all we have for you today. And tomorrow we will be having day 3 of Great Amrita Alumni Conclave. We'll see you all then. Have a good evening.